Hello. Oh, you've already made some comments. Should I quickly say? Oh, you're talking about the town halls. Let me have a quick look what you've been saying. I need to go all the way back. You've been chitty-chatting loads. Hi, everybody. Let me see what you've been saying. Da, da, da. Hi, Tish. Oh, hello, Susan. All the early birds. Looks like a fun tour. You might need your passport. You might. This is true. Let me just see. Sorry, I'm just skipping through what you've already said. Okay. Hi. What was the big question that's a mystery that Gerard could look into? Can't find it. Hi, Fran. Hi, Anna Maria. I can see lots of new names. That's always very nice. Yes, I have been thinking why no town halls for a long time, but I dare not email them about it. I don't know who's the best person to ask. I think Dan King may be the best person to ask because he often does the follow-ups for the other side of the pond. So I don't know. Hi, Satyam. Hi, Gregory. Hi, Jasmine. Oh, so nice to see all these people. It's been a little while since I've done a tour. And look at me. No coat. No coat. What's going on? 16th of March and no coat. Hi, Andrew. It's good to see you all. Hi, Kate, obviously in Wales. So I've got about 3 more minutes before I officially start. And what I'd like to know, hi, Ryan, hi, Kate, is could you do a thumbs up if you're new to me and you've never been on one of my tours before? And a heart if you're completely new to Hago, just so I know how much to say in my little introduction. Hi, Cynthia. I've been to Baltimore. That's exciting. I've got family over there. So, yes, definitely people new to me. Well, welcome, Anna Maria. Oh, look at all this. Thank you. And thank you, Cynthia. Well, I've been off the scene for a little while because I've been poorly. But yeah, hopefully back at it now. And today, this is something completely brand new to me. So I'm quite excited to share it with you. It's somewhere I come a lot. I bring, thank you, Tish. That's lovely. Very kind. This is somewhere I bring my little grandsons a lot. It's always exciting to come and watch the aeroplanes. So I don't see any hearts. I don't see anybody completely new to Hago. Hi, Eduardo. But there are definitely people who are new to me. So I'll do a little bit of blurb about me. Sorry to bore the ones that know me already, but we should do it. And we'll wait for others to join in the next couple of minutes. And we're very lucky. We're actually going to be able to speak to a gentleman in the building who is responsible for a little special collection. And they're going to let us in to this special locked room to have a look at some goodies. So that's going to make a nice part of the tour as well in a minute. Hi, Tessa. Thanks for joining us. Lovely to see you. Hi, Shirley. All these new names. Yeah, we're going in a locked room. I hope we get out again, that's all. It's all right going in a locked room with a man, but how do we get out again? Hate to think. Ooh, I don't know. He's called Tim. We'll see. Yes, it's always like the safety instructions before we fly. Over to the left, we have this. Over to the right, we have that. No need to strap in, but it might be a bumpy ride. You never know. It's got another minute to go before I do the official start. If I turn the camera a little bit, you can see I'm sitting on a bench, and there's the beautiful airport terminal building in the background. It's so interestingly different, this building. I never know what the smiley faces are for. So often in the chat, the reactions are slightly later than what you've just said, and you think, was that to what I just said, or was it to something else somebody else said? Or hi, Kay, and hi, Steve. Thank you for joining us. Oh, over to the left, over to the right, cha-cha-cha, da-da-da-da. Yeah, I'm a dancer too, Satyam. I like dancing. Poppy, my lovely, thank you for joining us. And Mikey with the Welsh dragon. You were on my dragon hunting tour. I didn't have to go outside for that. So 25 seconds to go. 25 seconds to go. I'm good, Poppy. I think I'm finally a well person. Can you believe it? Smile, blue skies, sunshine. Oh, it's all going good. Hi, Christopher. Hi, DT. Welcome. Welcome to Ginny's Jaunts, as I like to call them. Ginny's Jaunts around Sussex. Right, we're officially on. So, welcome, Christopher. Welcome, DT. So, for those that don't know me, I am Ginny. I'm Virginia, and I live in Worthing, which is in West Sussex on the south coast of England. We're about an hour and a half straight down from London, and right on the coast. In fact, if we went up on the ridge behind me, which is the railway line, we could see the sea, very close to the sea. And today we're at Shoreham Airport, sometimes called Brighton and Hove Airport, but it's in Shoreham by sea. So if you can look at the map, you'll see where we are in relation to the coastline and in relation to London. And I live just along a bit in Worthing. I've been a Hago guide for a year now. 4th of March was my anniversary. I've been off the scene for a little while, but today we're back and I'm really excited to bring you to Shoreham Airport. So do use the chat for questions and do stop me if you want to. And do chat to each other as much as you like. So here we are at our very first viewing point, which is worth remembering because there is going to be a lot of history, and the history is going to be about the First World War and the Second World War, because this airport played an important part in both of those. So as we stand at the entrance of the airport terminal, we are greeted by this memorial dedicated to all British Commonwealth and Allied servicemen and women who gave their lives to the First and Second World War. And in front of us is a propeller, which is on the tour listing photograph. And this propeller is from a B-26 Martin Marauder bomber, which came down in the English Channel in 1944. So this is our first welcome introduction to the airport. And there are various memorials around the propeller which have connections with things that we're going to talk about. But we're going to start at the very beginning. I will just show you one of these memorials because it's going to be very pertinent to what we talk about later. And this is to a Brian Brown, who was tragically killed while displaying his Hurricane aeroplane as part of the Battle of Britain air display over Shoreham Airport in 2007. Hello, Tarek and the Bears, and Terry and Carol. Oh, thank you all for joining, and Faith, good to see you. We're going to talk about another tragedy at Shoreham Airport, but I'm going to not talk about that till the very end of the tour. So here's our beautiful airport terminal building. But this was built in the 1930s, and we need to start by going back much further than that. Because this airfield, as I said on the tour listing, was the first airport in the UK. And in fact, it was the first public use aerodrome, and it was founded in 1910. Now, this kind of blew my mind a bit, because if you think about it, the first plane ever to fly was 1908. Hi, Nola, good to see you, and Casey. So the first plane ever, the Wright brothers, flew in 1908. And in the UK, the first plane flew in 1908, sorry. And then this was a purpose-built airfield in 1910. So why did they choose this bit? Well, we need to talk a little bit about a guy called Harold Piffard. That's a funny name to say, and when I read it, it's even weirder. His surname is spelt Piffard, and he was actually a student at Lancing College, which is up on the hill. I have done a tour of the beautiful chapel there before, and we will see it in the distance. So he went to Lancing College, which was a private school, and so he knew this area quite well. He became very rich. He was actually an artist. We might see a little bit of his work later in the collection. But he decided to build an aeroplane, as you do. I wouldn't know where to start, but he decided to build a plane, and it was called the Hummingbird. And he chose a bit of grazing land between the Ada River and Lancing and the town of Shoreham. And that's where he decided to set off with his crazily designed aeroplane. And I'm going to show you the kind of aeroplanes that we're talking about. Because when you see these early aeroplanes, it's just ridiculous. So we're going to have a look at Harold Piffard's early biplane. Did crash it a few times, has to be said. So I'm going to show you first of all those three images, and you can see this kind of very delicately built, just built of wood. You know, this is just crazy, and they did crash them often, but apparently they were very easy to fix. So that's the kind of plane we're talking about. And it officially became Shoreham Airfield in 1911. And that's when they had the first recorded cargo flight. And also, by 1911, they had an air race from Brooklands near London, Brooklands to Brighton, and they landed here at Shoreham Airport. And then in 1912, they established the first training school. Look at this. The first flying school was established as early as 1912. It just had 2 planes, and later on, in 1913, they started to use it to train pilots for the First World War. And that's when the Royal Flying Corps were established here. So that's some early First World War history. They used it to train the pilots in these very flimsy planes. And then we need to talk a little bit about this beautiful building. We will have a look at that window above from the inside because it's beautiful. Now, this would be classed as classic Art Deco architecture. And this was designed by an architect called Stavers Tiltman. And it's a grade 2 listed building now. It does look like Goodwood, but it's a lot bigger actually. It's quite a small building at Goodwood, but you're right on the design and the feel of it. So this building was opened in the 30s. We'll just go and see a plaque that commemorates that. It is similar. But I mean, there's whole loads of blocks of flats around Worthing that are all built at the same time. It's just that classic Art Deco look. I've only got a bit of shadow on here. So this is a plaque, the National Transport Trust, commemorating the fact that this is Britain's oldest airport, opened in 1910. And there is a QR code to get more information from the National Transport Trust National Heritage Site. So that's the exterior of the building. Now we're going to go and step inside. Now I have tested this out. We should not lose signal. We should be good. Even the doors are like the original 30s doors. So we're going to just go up the stairs a little bit and then we can have a look down on the reception area. You can hear a lot of talking because there is a cafe called the Hummingbird Cafe after that first Hummingbird aeroplane. And I can't go there because I don't want to be filming people. But it's quite lovely up here. And again, you can see this, the 1930s feel of the actual building. And if we have a look up at the ceiling, got rather an interesting painting up there of some little Hawker Hunter aeroplanes. They're like the little training aeroplanes. And we can have a little look down at the cafe from a distance. Isn't it gorgeous? I mean, the building itself is just gorgeous, to be honest. But the history makes it doubly interesting. Welcome, Janice. Hi. Now, there's been a lot of changes lately, and it's all because of what's starting to happen down there. From time to time, various companies have tried to make a viable connection and use the airport commercially, and it hasn't worked. But there's a new crowd coming in who are going to try and establish flights to the Channel Islands, to Jersey, Guernsey and Alderney. So we now have border control, fences, security. Things have changed a bit since the end of last year. I love this window. This is, to me, an iconic 30s and part of the more beautiful bit of the architecture. It's really lovely, isn't it, Faith? And what's nice is they haven't really touched the core elements of the original building, and that's what makes it so charming. Now, there used to be a lot more artwork around, but this is rather nice. Lovely old painting. Yes, it's still an airport. It's still an airport, and I will tell you what its most recent role is in a minute. I've actually flown from here. I flew a Cessna aeroplane on my 50th birthday, and so it is still used for pleasure and for training. You can do your full pilot's license here. You can train in a light aircraft, or you can go up just for the fun of it on a pleasure flight. We will see some of the aeroplanes outside in a little while. Hi, Aziz, welcome. Yeah, there is a really good website, actually, all about Brighton Hove Airport. So we also have here a sneaky little room. And I want to show you some of these lovely models in here of the first aeroplane that we were talking about. So it looks even more flimsy in this model, but that is the original Hummingbird, a model of the original Hummingbird. It's not. Tell me.
That's a Valkyrie.
Where's the original? See, it's good job there's somebody here, isn't it? We're going to say, right, there's the Hummingbird. You see, isn't it good that we've got a man here? Oh, look, that looks like Oscar. Oh, my goodness, we have a teddy bear and an aeroplane. What a combination. This is the funkiest thing ever. Look at this with circular wings. So I am glad this gentleman is here behind us, because I'm going to say hi to him in a minute, and he's going to take us somewhere even more interesting, if it's possible. Another nice painting. There used to be loads more paintings up here, didn't there? Upstairs, there were so many more paintings.
Are some still. Yeah.
And I told you earlier about the Brooklands to Brighton race. And here is a photograph of a biplane coming in 1911. It even impresses me that they have these sort of photographs, to be honest, let alone the activities. And there is another biplane parked up on Hove Lawns in Brighton. And I will just show you the gentleman in question, with not too much reflection. This is Harold Piffard. You could say he was crazy. I mean, it's admirable what they did, and they paved the way for much more. So this is our lovely friend Tim. Hi, Tim.
Hello.
And he is part of a lovely team of volunteers that look after the Shoreham Airport collection. And he's going to give us very special access to a secret room. So if you're up for it, we're going to go and find the locked room.
Yes.
Are you ready for this? You might see some interesting things on the way.
Right ahead.
Yeah.
Through the next doorway.
Still a lovely building.
Then to your right.
Everywhere you look is it's nice they haven't touched any of the iconic 1930s bits.
Oh yes, much of it is original.
So here we are, secret door. It is locked.
Unlock it. That's not like me.
And look what we've got in here. All sorts of craziness. Now, this is fascinating, this sword, because this was made on site.
Yes.
There were lots of things that were made on site.
Oh yes, this company is still going. This was
Wow.
made by a company called Pooley Sword, and
Wow.
they have units across the road from us here.
Yeah.
And in the days when we're talking about sending tanks to Ukraine and all the rest of it, Mr. Pooley has the contract with the Ministry of Defence to supply swords.
Even now?
Yes.
Wow.
If you qualify, if you graduate from any of the officer training, then a sword becomes part of your Sunday best.
Yes, of course. And when you get married, you're allowed to.
Oh yes.
You're allowed to give it a go.
Yes.
So there's all sorts of.
Do you want the run round?
You could do the run round.
Like.
Yes, I don't. It means you have to do all the talking.
Well, it's up to you.
Can everybody hear Tim okay through my microphone? Could you just do a quick thumbs up? Good. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Talk to me.
So the first cabinet is to do with the First World War. During that period, the airport was taken over by the Army, the Royal Flying Corps, and it became a base for training pilots. So the young men came here and did their initial training. They were expected to gain the Royal Aero Club Aviator Certificate, which was their key then to move on. But they were expected to gain that in 10 hours or less. Wow.
Compared to what you have to do now?
Oh, yes. So you're talking to start thinking about taking a licence, then you're looking at, 40, 50 hours or more.
Absolutely.
The next cabinet is to do with 14 Squadron. It was formed here in 1915 when it was the 14th Squadron of the Royal Flying Corps.
Gosh, still early days.
Yes, they weren't here for very long. By the beginning of 1916, they were in the Middle East and they stayed there until the end of the war.
Gosh.
They are still going. 14 Squadron RAF, I don't know if you can catch it, but the little grey aeroplane at the top there is a Shadow. And that is what 14 Squadron are currently equipped with.
Even now?
Yes.
Oh.
It's an intelligence gathering machine.
Oh.
They work with all sorts of highly secret types.
Yes.
So sadly, we can't get anywhere near them.
Fair enough.
But they still exist, which is rather nice.
Yeah. Somebody was questioning about this. It's not a tea service. That would be a coffee.
It's a
coffee pot.
Right. It's a Turkish army officer's coffee set.
There you go.
During the First World War, when 14 Squadron was in the Middle East, they caught the Turkish 7th Army in a wadi, which would be very deep, cliff-like sides and all the rest of it.
Yes.
And they carried out a classic attack. They bombed the ends of the wadi closed.
Oh, right.
And then killed everything that moved in between. It was pretty awful.
Okay.
And the chap you can see here in the photograph was the squadron's equipment officer.
Sorry, there's a lot of glare. There we go.
And he went to have a look at the carnage and he found that in a Turkish officer's kit. Wow. And clearly the fellow had no further use for it.
So he brought it
So
back.
he thought he'd better look after it. It came home and it then until about 15 years ago, it was in the loft of a house in Dover.
Oh my goodness.
And I got a call, would I go and see the old boy that lived there because he got something for me.
How did they make the connection?
He contacted the 14 Squadron Association and said, I've got some stuff.
Oh, there was other stuff to flag that up.
This notebook here was this fella's notes about, because he would be responsible for ordering spare parts, tools, ammunition, anything like that.
And that was with the coffee set. Yeah. Wow. Look at these models.
We've got some here between the period between the wars. It's probably two things of note. One is this flying helmet. Now, the ladies would have done anything to get one of those if they were flying in the 20s and 30s. Nowadays, fortunately, they wouldn't because it is genuine leopard skin.
Wow. Okay.
So, fortunately, we
keep you warm though.
Oh yeah, but we don't do that these days, thankfully.
Oh my goodness.
And the other one here on the shelf above, this young lady, Yvonne Hackworth, she learnt to fly here, and one day I suppose she was bored, but she decided that she was going to fly along to Hove and buzz her parents as they sat in the back
my
garden.
goodness.
And she was taken to court for dangerous low flying.
Oh my goodness.
And fined £2.
What year would that be?
33.
Wow.
1933.
Wow.
Yeah.
What surprises me when I've been looking back is a lot of women were involved in the early flying.
Oh, yeah.
At a time when you wouldn't expect it. They were equally going off and doing brave and crazy things.
Right. I mean, right the way through till the start of the Second World War, the ladies were well represented.
Was it always people with money? It would have to be, would it?
To some extent, yes. Yeah. Yes. But there were so many more flying clubs.
Yes.
I mean, you just don't see them today.
No. Almost private clubs, I guess.
Well, yes.
So not an airport like this. It was just an airfield.
There was a club here.
Right.
And it was very popular and very busy, and they had a lot of social side to it as well.
Excuse me.
When the Second World War started, the airport was given over to flights coming in from continental Europe, Scandinavian countries and the like, because Croydon Airport had been closed down and given to the Royal Air Force.
Oh, right.
And so you see a bright orange aeroplane.
Yeah.
The orange colour scheme denotes, I come from a neutral country, don't shoot at me.
Is that why EasyJet adopted it?
I
think more people should shoot at them. So I shouldn't say that. Oops.
And down the side of it in large black letters was country of origin. But whether that would have done any good if the German Air Force had come up behind it, I very much doubt.
I don't think so. I'm knocking into something very special.
During the Second World War, one of the things that came out from the Battle of Britain, 1940, was that there was no air-sea rescue set up.
Oh, yes.
So if a chap was shot down into the channel, he'd gone.
Yes.
And so shortly after the end of the Battle of Britain, they started to put together an air-sea rescue service.
And that was based here, wasn't it?
Well, one of the squadrons had a flight here. That was 277. And as you can see on the thing, they did very well. 598 blokes rescued from out of the sea.
That's amazing. Who otherwise you may have survived, but not much chance.
They would have gone, most of them.
And that's because we didn't always have this.
Ah, yes.
So this is a very early ejector seat.
It is. Yeah. Yeah, we keep that. A, it's too big to put anywhere else.
Yeah.
But B, it's a type that would have been fitted in some of 14 Squadron's early machines.
But tell them the scary bit about this, because I have a friend who ejected from a Tornado. He was a Tornado pilot.
Yeah, okay.
And he was fine.
Yeah.
But in modern aeroplanes, you press your button.
Yes.
And after that, you don't have to do anything. Luckily, all you've got to think is calm down, survive.
Yes.
Tell them what this gentleman would have had to do.
If you look at the modern flying outfit and the modern ejector seat, you're actually sort of tied to it essentially.
Self-contained, really.
So that, for example, you have straps on your legs.
Yeah.
So that when you pull the handle, it pulls your legs in.
Yes.
So you don't bang your knees on the way out, on this sort of thing. On this one, you pull that and it brings a screen down over your face and you would have gone through the canopy.
Yikes.
Modern airplanes have got a detonation cord in
when
the
you
canopy,
press that, the thing goes
and the
off.
canopy explodes
flips the lid.
and gives you room to get out. But this, you would have gone through it.
Oh, la la. And tell them the other important thing, because you also, where is the parachute? Which is different to now.
It's not in here at the moment,
right.
But there would have been one in the seat attached to the pilot.
Yeah.
And there would have been one around the back attached to the seat.
Yeah. So you're sitting on your own parachute.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
First,
normal.
you've got to remember to pull this down, otherwise you're going to smash your face in. Then you've got to get out of this seat. How do they get out of the seat?
Oh, well, you come free of it. It's not, it's not a problem. But you can see that there's a clip there.
Yeah.
Now, on the aeroplane, there would have been a little panel. So you take all the safety clips out of the seat, put them in the little panel.
Right.
Then you know the seat will work.
So you know good to go if you need it.
If you leave any of them behind, the seat won't work.
You've had it. Okay.
So
that's your checklist in a way. Yeah.
One of our chaps was an Air Force firefighter.
Right.
And we often laugh and joke because before he would approach an aeroplane with an ejector seat, he would want the pilot to assure him that all the pins were back in the seat, so it wouldn't go off.
Of course.
When he was trying to look
in
inside.
the rescue or whatever. Yeah. That's fascinating and quite scary.
Yes. Do you want a ghost story?
Yes, let's have a ghost story.
During the latter part of the Second World War, there was a Free French Spitfire squadron based here, 345, and they were based on the north side of the airport, an area you can't really get to these days. And they had hangars and buildings over there. And one of them was a great artist, and he painted a picture of his lady on the wall. After this, they had any number of incidents.
Right.
Guys being shot down, guys crashing, and all the rest of it. And one of his colleagues came in one day, pointed at this woman's picture and said, "There's the problem. Got to put a paint and paint it over her."
Oh, my goodness.
And all the trouble stopped.
Oh, my goodness. It's a little bit spooky.
Just a bit.
These are interesting. Oh, dear, there's a lot of reflection. That's not going to work. No, that's fine.
The building we're in is basically steel framed and then infilled with concrete blocks. Yes. So it's like a fortress. And it sits on a 3 foot thick concrete raft.
Oh, my goodness.
So does the hangar. The first hangar dates from 1936.
Yeah.
And that also sits on a big concrete raft.
That's interesting.
I've had it from people who worked in there that the foreman in charge of the hangar used to set all of the jigs and the machines using a tide table. Because the building
does
moves.
Make a difference.
It
That's
moves
amazing.
As the state of the tide changes.
I did explain how very close we are to the sea. Yeah. Not only close to the sea, but close to a tidal river.
Exactly.
So you've got the impact of the sea even further in. Oh, yeah. The river runs parallel to the side of the airfield.
And people working in there would start a shift, everything perfectly normal. And before they'd finished, the building had moved so much that a lot of the equipment in there was no longer usable.
That's incredible.
Until the tide changed again.
That's incredible and slightly ridiculous.
Well,
this name interests me because I have to be careful what I say when there's people watching and listening. So my ex-husband worked for Link Miles, which was a local company. Yeah. And Link Miles were a subsequent company from this original Miles company. Link Miles made flight simulators. And so Miles made these early trainer jets.
They made a lot. Well, that was a one-off.
That's a cute little.
That was a one-off. That was their attempt to sell the RAF a primary jet trainer.
Oh, right.
And it didn't work.
Okay.
The aeroplane still exists. It's in bits. Many of them very bent because it had one flight too many.
Oh dear. So what was successful? This yellow one? No, not the yellow
almost one. Successful. This down here is the M52.
Right.
And that was being built partly here, and that was going to be the British first aeroplane to fly faster than the speed of sound.
Wow. It doesn't look capable of it somehow.
And no, the bigger one, the red one.
The red one.
Yeah, that boy there. That's it.
Wow.
And there was a pilot all ready for it, Captain Winkle Brown of the Navy.
Wow.
Very famous test pilot. And they were almost up to the point of flight testing it when the government said, "That's it, no more money." Project stopped. But not just that. Miles were told to put everything in boxes because we're giving it to America.
Oh, no. Sorry, all the Americans watching. Sorry.
The first guy through the speed of sound was Chuck Yeager.
Right.
In a thing called the Bell X1. And if you put the M52 next to the Bell X1, they could be brothers.
Oh, somebody just asked, what are the playing cards for? Well, they're just to commemorate that particular aeroplane.
Yeah, just a commercial giveaway, basically.
A lot of commercial giveaways.
Because, say, it's got the trainer on it, which they were desperately trying to sell.
So it's just basically celebrating that little trainer plane.
Bit of promotional material.
Yeah. It's just amazing. Now, somebody was telling me about these models up above, because these are significant, aren't they? Is the silver one is the Miles? Was it? Is that a different
the silver
trainer?
one? Yeah, that's the student. Yeah.
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 Something's flashing, making a flashing on it.
And behind it is the green and brown is a Lysander.
Oh, yes.
That's an army cooperation aeroplane. But
now that was the air sea rescue lot,
what
wasn't it?
started off the whole air sea rescue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Tish, it's the LED light strobing. You can't see it. Funny enough, I can't see it here in the flesh, but it's definitely flashing on the screen.
Yeah,
and
but
there's
they save us a lot of money on the electricity
I'm
bill.
sure.
And this one is an Avro 504.
That's amazing.
And the full-size original to that was flown here by a fellow called Cecil Pashley. And Pashley runs through the history of the airport almost from start to finish.
Somebody's asking a question about this tube, which presumably has maps in.
Right, no.
No, it doesn't, you see.
Look up.
Oh, okay. I'm looking up at a box kite.
Yes.
Yeah.
That box kite would have lived in that tube.
Well, there you go, Cynthia. Right. Who would have thought that box kite
that was part of
would have been in that tube?
That was part of crew equipment that would have been in a dinghy with all their stuff. If they had to land in the sea,
amazing.
They would put the kite together, fly it, and it would carry a radio aerial up.
That's amazing.
So that their distress calls could be picked up further afield.
So that's the best you've got before we had like flares as such?
Yeah, well, they would have had flares and things, but they're trying to, perhaps from the middle of the channel or out in the North Sea, they're trying to get a radio message.
A signal rather than a visual. So it's an audio signal rather than a visual.
The kite is actually known as a Gibson girl.
Oh, right.
Because the Gibson girls were a bit like the Tiller girls.
Oh, I know about the Tiller girls.
All the right shape, all the right bits in the right places. And people reckon that somehow resembled a shapely young lady.
I don't look like a box. This is amazing, but I think we're going to trot on and go outside again.
Okie dokie.
I want a big thank you for Tim.
No, you're welcome.
And we will see you again.
Nice to see you all.
Tim has promised. Tim has promised to take me closer to the aeroplanes and in the hangars for another visit. So we will definitely come back for that. But thank you so much. Thank you.
No, thank you.
And I'm going to take you now back outside because what I hope you'll be able to see is actually to see a few aeroplanes. So we're going to go out here and you can see the actual airfield now. You can see how close we are. Isn't it great? Tim was great. And you can see some yellow aeroplanes there on in the foreground with their little hoods on. So they won't be flying today. But actually I've heard plenty of light aircraft going up. So earlier somebody was asking, what's it used for today? And mostly at the moment, it is just pleasure flights. There is down the very end, around the corner there, a whole collection of helicopters. So they do helicopter training, helicopter flights. They do pleasure flights, but you can also go up in an aeroplane and fly it yourself. And as I said at the beginning of the tour, I actually flew a little Cessna from here. And went up and flew out over my house, which was pretty amazing. So we've covered the First World War. We've covered the Second World War. He told you about the air sea rescue. And we didn't talk about the fact that there were 2 crashes here in the wartime. There was a German Messerschmitt Bf 109 was shot down and crashed near the terminal building. And also a B-17 Flying Fortress crash-landed, having been damaged on a raid over the channel. So there's been a few accidents at that point. Now you're lucky here, we can see a proper tarmac area, and there is a tarmac runway. But this was always just a grass runway right up until 1981. So it wasn't until 1981 that they added a tarmac runway. Oh, I always like it when you see a high-vis jacket. Over in the distance, there are 2 guys, and that means that someone is going out on a training flight. So one is the pilot, and one is the lucky guy having a training flight. Now, as we came in, we looked at a few memorials, and I would like to talk a little bit about some more recent history, very recent history. Now, this beautiful, beautiful airfield was used for many years for the Shoreham Air Show. And in fact, that started in 1989. And so we had 25 years of incredible air shows here. And we had the Battle of Britain flyby, we've had Lancasters here, absolutely amazing. And then unfortunately, on the 22nd of August, 2015, there was a most horrendous accident, and a Hawker Hunter aeroplane crashed across the main A27 road, killing 11 people. And I'm going to post an image which you might find a little distressing, but it's important that you know how terrible this was. Now, I was actually driving along that A27 on that day. Could have been any one of us. It was absolutely horrific. So since then, we've not had a Shoreham Air Show, and we shan't. And that is a terrible tragedy which hangs over this local area and obviously this airport. It's incredibly sad, yes. So the other thing that I put up, which I'll just go over here and show you some other images, because I don't want to go without talking about, sorry, I've got sun on my screen and I'm trying to find a place where I can see. I don't want to leave without talking about the filming that went on here, because some people were quite alarmed by the picture I put up of the swastikas outside the building. So there we have some images, and I wanted to tell you about the filming that's happened here. Well, it is alarming, but it was only because it was a film set. So the things that we've had filmed here are the Crown. I don't think I put the image from the Crown, where I think we've got the person acting as the Prime Minister arriving at the airport. Oh, I seem to have a problem tracking down the rest of my media. Okay, we'll ignore that. So we've had the Crown filmed here. We've had episodes of Poirot filmed here and parts of the Da Vinci Code. But the most significant one was The Woman in Gold. It really is worth watching, partly because Helen Mirren's amazing. It's about a Jewish exile in America, and she tries to reclaim her Klimt painting, which is called The Woman in Gold. And it actually belonged to her family when she lived in Vienna, and the Nazis acquired it, for want of a better word. And the film is all about how, in modern times, she gets a lawyer and tries to reclaim her Klimt painting. It's actually in the Guggenheim in New York. I tried to go and see it there when I visited, but the Guggenheim was shut. It is well worth seeing, and if you watch it, you'll see Shoreham Airport in it, which is pretty amazing. So I can hear some noises, so I'm going to just go to this side and Shoshana, what are you saying? No, it isn't to. No, it isn't what? Not a good film, or? Let's see if we can see what's about to take off here. Oh, it's not in the Guggenheim. Oh, that's interesting, because when I went to New York, I was told it was on exhibition there. Oh, thank you. So it's in it's an Austrian museum in New York. Now I can hear a plane very close to us. If it's right here, it's actually filling up with petrol. So we may not see it take off. But I would like to draw your attention to the building up on the hill in the distance. If I can get it in focus. It's right up on the hill. You can see a very big church-like building. Thank you, Tish. And that is the chapel of Lancing College. And next to it is Lancing College, where Harold Piffard, who started this all off, that's where he went to school. So that's a nice link up with the beginning of the story and the end of the story. And you're in luck, because we may just see a plane takeoff. I can hear all the right noises, but we're actually at the wrong section of the runway, I think. Hi from Ontario. Hi. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm afraid you join us very close to the end of the tour. We're just waiting to see if we'll see an aeroplane on the move. Those little ones there are the type that I flew in. It was an amazing experience because it's not long before they give you complete control of the aeroplane. And it was the most fun I've had, I tell you. There's only room for you and the pilot and a tiny triangle with a fire extinguisher in. It's like sitting in a shoebox, but it was a lot of fun and I'm really glad I did it. So we're hearing all the right noises, but we're not seeing any movement. So I don't think we're going to be in luck. I think he's just filling up with petrol. But it's a beautiful day here on the south coast. I'm actually not wearing a jacket. We've got sun, we've got blue sky. Just amazing. Thank you for following all these new names. It's really nice that you're choosing to follow. I haven't done any tours for a while, so hopefully this is the beginning of me getting back to it with a vengeance. Let's hope so. Thank you, Turquoise. I've seen some of these names on tours I've been on, but I know you've not been on mine before, so thank you for that. And thank you, Anne-Marie, for the tip, and thank you for others who tipped earlier. That's very kind. So I'm going to turn the camera. Yes, the next one is Field Place. I tend to do a few tours where I walk around gardens and I also read poems. It's just a different kind of twist, a different thing to do. I like doing it. And I also do some arty ones. I have a collage club and I do something called watercolour ink magic. But my next sort of proper tour will be my tour around Arundel, which is an ancient medieval town with a very old Norman castle. It's a beautiful tour, really nice place to walk around. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Satyam. Thank you, Poppy. That's very kind. Well, I don't know about you. I've had a really interesting time. I hadn't met Tim before today. I'd met a colleague of his. And I'm never sure how much people want to be on camera. And I never know how much they want to talk. And it's very presumptuous to think they'll want to do either. But he was great, wasn't he? What a nice guy. So another big thank you to Tim. Thank you, Cynthia. I think the history, what I like best about doing this Hago craziness, thank you, Hayward. I love doing the research. I love the history. I'm retired. I'm very lucky I retired early, I hasten to add, quite early. And I just love doing the research and finding out. And also, I loved finding out more about where I live. I was started on Hago as a voyager 2 years ago. Thank you, Quinn. I was in lockdown a lot longer than most for various reasons. And I loved Hago. But I kept thinking, anywhere is interesting, anywhere is beautiful, absolutely anywhere. So why not show people where I live? And I haven't got the pyramids and I haven't got the Colosseum. But boy, there is so much wonderful history and so many interesting places. Another tour I love doing is walking around the Roman walls of Chichester. Just amazing. I quite fancy that flying hat with goggles, Tish. I have actually got some goggles. I should have worn my goggles. I play in a band and we do a lot for veterans. In fact, we've got a concert next week for veterans. And so we often wear flying helmets and goggles and fly the flag. So I have actually got some goggles at home. Next time I will remember that. So it just leaves me now to say thank you so much for joining me. I think it's been a lovely tour. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I'm feeling better, Poppy. I think I'm almost back to normal. I think I've been talking enough and smiling enough, so I must be. Thank you, Tish. It's good to see you all again. And it's good to see some very familiar names. Oh, lovely Nola. Thank you. Very kind. Nola loves my arty tours, one of my very keen collage club members. Collaging is so much fun and the watercolour painting is so much fun. Thank you, Edith. That's very kind. And thank you, Susan. So I'm going to say bye-bye. I might sneak in and see if the cafe's quieter, just have a quick coffee and then head home. Thank you so much. Love to you all. Bye for now. Take care. Bye-bye.